As a massive world centered around piracy, there's hundreds of pirates we've come across in One Piece. Many are goofy looking and absolutely pathetic, like Treble the Booger Boy. But there's also a great deal of extremely cool and powerful pirates like Red Hair Shanks.
Bro, if I was a girl, legs wide open, bro.
So here are the 30 strongest pirates in One Piece, all time. But quickly, like the video, it really helps us and helps the video blow up in the algorithm. At number 30, we have Queen the Plague. As much as I don't like Queen, I put my bias aside and gave him a spot on this list. He's a complete dummy, don't get me wrong, he's got no hands and he can't even manage to use his science experiments in the right way. But at the end of the day, he's a cyborg dinosaur man with haki and laser beams shooting out of his mouth. He has an attack that crushed Sanji's bones completely, and there's not many people withstanding that attack. I will say, Queen does also have one of the worst dinosaur devil fruits in One Piece, especially compared to Drake and King. But where Queen impresses us most is his toughness and durability. At number 29, we have Boa Hancock. Boa Hancock has a ridiculous power in her devil fruit. It's the best fodder control, turning hordes into stone in seconds. Even Kobe and Blackbeard admit she's an absolute problem for anyone who's not a Yonko tier character. It was just amazing seeing Boa go against Seraphim, Marines, and take out multiple Yonko commanders with ease. And let's not forget her hockey powers, being someone who trained in all three forms of hockey abilities. An all-around great fighter with a broken devil fruit. At number 28, we have Jinbei. In his truest element, he has the potential to be insane. I'd argue he's even as strong as Sanji when he's underwater. Underwater Jinbei is prime peak form for this man, as he's able to communicate with fish, he is a master waterbender, he has fishman karate, and he's a fisherman himself without a devil fruit, moving faster than humans underwater. Underwater Jinbei is someone you do not want smoke with, but until we see more from Jinbei's power, I can't put him much higher than this. I'd also like to add that he completely washed Who's Who during Wano, so it makes you wonder what would Jinbei look like if he was pushed to his absolute limits like Zoro and Sanji were in Wano. At number 27, we have Doflamingo. Don Quixote Doflamingo is super underrated. Dofi has one of the coolest and most versatile devil fruits, the string fruit, being able to leap into the air like Spider-Man and even use people as puppets. But let's not forget he also has Conqueror's haki. Gear for Luffy barely beat Doflamingo, who'd already fought Law and was maintaining an unstoppable birdcage that not even Zoro and an admiral could cut through. Dofi uses overwhelming power, but also has a tendency for intense manipulation. He's an absolutely terrifying opponent for almost anyone, and I consider putting Dofi higher because, let's be real here, the birdcage was a Yonko level feat. At number 26, we have Charlotte Katakuri. Katakuri is the only time in One Piece where I was actually rooting for Luffy's enemy. Kat is a master at observation haki, being able to use it as much as he wants and expend his haki and observation way more than anyone. He's completely mastered future sight, and he's also a Conqueror haki user as well. It was kind of disappointing because I wish that we'd see more of his Conqueror's haki during the fight with Luffy. But at the end of the day, Kat is just a physical specimen, huge, strong, and this dude has hands for days. Katakuri is built like a boxer and he moves like one too. The way he bobs and weaves with both speed and power is just so fun to watch. But the best weapon that Katakuri has in his arsenal is the vast variety of versatility that comes from his mochi devil fruit. He can create sticky mochi, hardened mochi, explode mochi bombs, and so much more. But most characters aren't even fast enough to keep up with his speed and anticipation to even hit him hard enough in the first place. Number 25, we have King the Wildfire. King has an absurd level of durability, being a Lunarian, all tied with an impressive bag. He can fight hand-to-hand combat style with a giant sword, and he can also create fire attacks and explosions. And let's not forget that King can also fly, being a pterodactyl dinosaur man. So King's defense and durability and physicality is also multiplied by being a zone, and he's Kaido's right-hand man for a reason. Zoro struggled hard in his fight against King and was forced to awaken and control Enma. And after this, Zoro finally had to awaken Advanced Conqueror's haki and learn King's weaknesses, all just to be able to defeat him. At number 24, we have Marco the Phoenix. Marco has my third favorite devil fruit in One Piece, the mythical zone Phoenix. This gives him the ability of flight, a boost in speed and agility, firepower having the elemental blue magical flame that can be used for both healing and attack power. But Marco's regeneration and defensive abilities are super underrated. He's also quick and defensive, a great combo. His biggest downside has to be his extreme lack of offensive attack power compared to other first Yonko commanders. He's shown a few big attacks here and there, but nothing too impressive as the right hand and eventual captain of the Whitebeard pirates. I have high respect for Marco though, because he's fought against Yonko commanders, even clashed with admirals, and even Yonko. I mean, even Big Mom acknowledges how much of a problem this man was during the Onigashima raid when he first clashed with her. And I will admit, it was really close between Marco, Katakuri, and King. So I'd love to hear the arguments for all three and see your rankings in the comments. You know, when it comes to haki, I think people can be extremely hypocritical at times, constantly quoting Kaido's "haki is supreme" quote, but then those same people will put King and Marco over Katakuri, and it's just frustrating because Katakuri's haki clears these two. At number 23 we have Shiryu of the Rain. Okay, so here's probably the hardest character to rank on this entire list, and that's Shiryu of the Rain. We know Shiryu is compared to Magellan from Impel Down, who I'd argue is a lot stronger than people give him credit for. I mean, in my mind, Magellan is close to Admiral level, but the problem with Shiryu is that we've seen pretty much nothing from him. He's Blackbeard's right-hand man, and someone that people want Zoro to fight. So I think people are just assuming he's stronger than Zoro in this time. But this right-hand status got hard replaced when Kuzan became an official member of the Blackbeard Pirates. And you can tell that Kuzan is here to stay as he just fits in with the crew. So now it's like, would Zoro fight Kuzan or Shiryu if Luffy fights Blackbeard one day? And his Devil Fruit isn't all that great for combat, especially because if you can use observation haki at a high level, you could easily sense his presence still. But he does wave around a badass sword, and he does have the reputation for being an extremely brutal man. So maybe when we see more from him, I'll move him higher. At number 22, we have Eustace Kid. Eustace Kid is, well, a complete disappointment. I will say I told you so, as I've been arguing Shanks would wipe the floor with Kid when we found out Kid was heading to Elbaf and confront Shanks' territory. And that is exactly what happened. Kid has a pathetic understanding of haki, not even understanding Rio or Conqueror's haki during Wano. But that's a disgrace, especially when Zoro's vastly outpacing him in haki. But to play devil's advocate, he's still one of the toughest and grittiest characters in One Piece, taking on full-on blows from Big Mom while not even being able to defend himself. And that was right after being stabbed and pierced in his stomach, being controlled by Hawkins' voodoo powers. Kid's Devil Fruit is magnets, and it's gotten a lot better towards the end of his fight, like with a giant railgun cannon. And I also really liked his assign attacks where he's sending Big Mom across the battlefield and ramming into her with a bull while pushing her in the right direction. You know, Kid does have potential, but he's just failed to achieve it. At number 21, we have Vin Smoke Sanji. Mr. Prince or Mr. Perv, Sanji is a superhuman. He's a test tube science freak cyborg, Seraphim Lunarian. I mean, whatever the hell you want to call Sanji, he's a monster, and that's all that mattered. 1/3 of the monster trio, Sanji has some ridiculous abilities, like having an exoskeleton, regeneration, blue flame fire kicks, and an absolutely astonishing level of speed. He also has great haki, but I think what makes Sanji so powerful is his unique fighting style. He blitzes opponents with high-speed attacks, and while offensively he's lacking compared to someone like Zoro, he makes up for this by being essentially a new and improved version of Marco the Phoenix, being the greatest combo for both speed and durability and defense. Before we jump into the top 20, make sure you subscribe if you're one of the 70% who are not already. We make One Piece power scaling videos just like this. We have a bunch of theory videos on the way, and I'm currently working on a massive Wano video, reviewing and analyzing the entire arc. So hit that bell like Luffy and Skypiea so you never miss an upload. At number 20, we have Mad Monk Uroge. Now I know what you're thinking, Uroge over Kid? And just hear me out, because Uroge is built like a beast. His Devil Fruit gives him the ability to essentially become the Hulk, turning damage into muscles. But why I think Uroge is so powerful is because I think he's the most misunderstood character in the entire series. Some will say Uroge is weak, he's lost to Cracker. Oh yeah, the same Cracker that Luffy almost lost to. Oh, and by the way, this was Uroge fighting Cracker after already defeating the 4th commander of the Big Mom Pirates, Snack. Oh, and then yeah, let's also remember how Oda pointed out specifically how it not only took the 3rd commander of Big Mom's crew, Cracker, to defeat a likely fatigued Uroge, but it also took Cracker commanding an entire fleet and help from a Yonko and Big Mom just to take him out. So next time someone says Uroge lost to Cracker, just reply with context, because that's a word they're severely missing. But the biggest reason why I've got my stocks on Uroge is because he's the final supernova. Oda's saving him for last for a reason. At number 19, we have Lucky Root. Listen, we need to stop with the Lucky Root is the fastest character in One Piece takes. He's not faster than Sanji, and he's not even the fastest character in his own crew. That's Shanks. Really, it's impossible to scale Lucky Root accurately, but out of pure respect for the red-haired pirates, and considering even Sengoku mentioned his notoriety, he deserves a spot pretty high. At number 18, we have Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. Alright, so Law, this dude, he's busted. I mean, this guy tanked a Thunder Bagua while it one-shotted Luffy, and made him seize out Haki. Law's Devil Fruit is also stupid broken because he can pull a giant sword out of who knows where, he can inflict internal damage, he can teleport, and so much more. After Law's awakening in Wano, he buried Big Mom in the grave that he created for her. His biggest downfall is probably his Haki. He has a strong willpower, don't get me wrong, but the higher we move up the list, the more important Haki becomes. But at the end of the day, the Obi Obi no Mi more than makes up for all of this. At number 17, we have Roronoa Zoro. Zoro is a beast when it comes to three things. First, he's an actual superhuman. Two, he's a deadly swordsman striving to become the world's strongest. And three, he's oozing with Haki as the self-proclaimed king of hell. Zoro's three-sword style is so unique, already separating him from the pack, and a fighting style that's so hard to deal with for most opponents. It's unorthodox, with him controlling one of the swords with his teeth, but on the rooftop he already had some impressive moments facing off against Kaido specifically, and then after defeating King, Zoro's now even stronger as he's awakened advanced Haki. And this is where I say if you want to say Haki is supreme, then Zoro has to be pretty damn high on your list because the dude just getting boosted with Haki. He has some of the most powerful willpower we've seen in One Piece. Zoro's offensive firepower is just way too deadly and makes him one of the strongest pirates in One Piece history. Theoretically, if you could use 9-sword style Demon Ashra combined with advanced Conquerors, I don't know anyone who wants to take that attack head on. At number 16, we have Fisher Tiger. Now, Fisher Tiger might be the most powerful fishman we've ever seen in One Piece. The original captain of the Fishman Pirates. This man was notorious for scaling the red line like he's Spider-Man and walking into Marijoa and attacking the Celestial Dragon's Holy Land by himself. The fact that no one stopped him, not a single Gorosei, not a single Holy Knight, no admirals or prison guards, is wild. This dude pulled up strapped up to the brim and freed the slaves located there, including Jinbei, Arlong, and even Boa Hancock. And considering Jinbei was on this list, I had to include his captain, Fisher Tiger, who's someone that's severely slept on in the One Piece community. At number 15, we have Scopper Gaban, the OG member of the Roger Pirates. Scopper Gaban. He was shown alongside Rayleigh with axes for weapons when they fought against the Whitebeard pirates, but I don't think he's as legendary as the Dark King himself. Instead, he's likely still a powerful pirate, considering this is the Pirate King's crew after all. It's difficult to scale him since we haven't seen much from him, but off reputation alone, Gaban has to be a monstrous pirate. Number 14, Ben Beckman. Benethan Beckman, the right-hand man to Shanks, a true vice captain, separating him from the other first mates. Oda once stated that Ben Beckman was the moon to Shanks' son. He notoriously ripped off Kid's right arm with either his bare hands or maybe some Haki bullets. And Oda also said that Ben Beckman is comparable to Shanks. So yeah, Ben Beckman, he's a monster in his own right, and a huge reason for the fear and respect the red-haired pirates command. Even Kizaru, when he was trolling, at least acknowledged his reputation during the Marineford War. If we're going to compare Shanks' crew to Luffy's, I like to think that Ben Beckman is currently the strongest right-hand man who's alive. I'm expecting him to have Conqueror's Haki, and maybe even advanced and awakened forms of it, since he doesn't have a devil fruit, and his observation and ornament Haki has to be pretty impressive as well. Number 13 is Blackbeard. Marshall D. Teach, or Blackbeard, is an absolute menace of a man. He's an evil pirate emperor who has the tendency of killing his own family members. His strength comes from his greed and lustful ambition. He has broken hacks, and he's the only character in One Piece who's eaten 2 devil fruits, and these are both extremely powerful fruits, one being the Guda Nomi's Quake powers and the other being his Yami Yami Nomi Darkness Logia. Blackbeard combining his punches with Quake Fist and Black Holes of Darkness is crazy broken. I really can't wait to see more of his fighting style because he can now nullify devil fruit abilities and multiplying the pain he feels, but also heavily reducing the actual damage he sustains. He also lacks in speed, but Blackbeard's also one of those characters where this doesn't really matter at all, since he can completely overwhelm you with his devil fruits or warp speed itself having properties of gravity involved with the darkness element. This guy choked out Boa Hancock and essentially one-shot her. He could have killed her right then and there and taken her fruit if she didn't hold all of his commanders hostage. Even Rayleigh respects Blackbeard, even Shanks respects Blackbeard, keeping tabs on him and understanding the problems that he can cause with his raw power. And I really do think that Blackbeard could skyrocket on this list at one point, because I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another devil fruit, who knows, maybe even 4. And I kind of do think that he will have Conqueror's Haki by the end of the series. Number 12, Monkey D. Luffy. Straw Hat Luffy, also known as Joyboy, is a modern day legend, known for speedrunning the New World. He's the warrior of liberation, the newly fledged Yonko, and the future pirate king. He has one of the best devil fruits in the entire series, the mythical Zone Sun God Nika rubber fruit. This gives him the abilities and elements of rubber, being able to stretch and fling his body like a monkey boy, but also makes him a literal god. In his Gear 5 form, he's shown how truly powerful he is, with Haki, speed, and power all being combined into one of the top tier characters. He has hands for days and gets a ridiculous physical boost, being able to run so fast that he can run through air. He becomes physically strong enough to jump rope a dragon, and his power becomes broken, being able to turn his enemies and surroundings into rubber. And still, his Haki is just so impressive. I'd argue that Bajrang Gun is the most impressive Haki feat that we've seen so far in the story. A huge Haki-filled punch that defeated the Yonko Kaido. Luffy's biggest drawback currently is his stamina and durability. He takes a lot of L's against stronger opponents, but through sheer will, he always bounces back in the end. It also seems like Luffy can't maintain Gear 5 for too long, as it quickly drains his energy. And one day, Luffy will be number 1 on this list because he loves to fight and he'll only continue to become stronger, but for now, he still has a decent ways to go. Number 11, Kuzan. Kuzan has now become an official member of the Blackbeard Pirates, and he fits in so well it's scary. I mean, when else have you seen Kuzan laughing this much? I know he was drunk and Blackbeard's a goofball, but still. You could argue that Blackbeard's stronger, but I think for now I'd say Kuzan is, just because I believe that him and Akainu have conquered his Haki, and I think if you rank Akainu so high up, you also have to rank Kuzan pretty close. Kuzan's Ice Devil Fruit is so cool and so versatile as well, especially in the story of pirates sailing the seas. And we know he's on the Fleet Admiral level because he would have been Fleet Admiral if it wasn't for that meddling Akainu. His 10-day fight with Sakazuki is by far his most impressive feat, showing that he's essentially a hair away and straight to the world's most powerful marine. Number 10, Kozuki Oden. Kozuki Oden was a legendary samurai pirate during the era of Roger and Whitebeard. Once he joined Whitebeard, the notoriety of their crew skyrocketed, and this dynamic duo carried them through the New World. Eventually, Oden would join Roger on his journey to Laugh-Till, and throughout his time with both of these legends, his own power grew immensely. Oden was a master at swordsmanship, he had powerful Haki, and he was just built different. A samurai Chad man who was born to become great ever since he was a child, accomplishing monstrous feats. It's sad to see that Oden's potential fell short, as I believe if he fought Kaido to an all-out battle, both him and Kaido's strength would have skyrocketed, that is if they both survived. Oden was already on par with Kaido, and I just believe that Oden would have won that fight. Number 9, Hawkeye's Dracula Mihawk. Mihawk has earned the title of the world's strongest swordsman, a rival to Shanks. He's conquered the best sword in One Piece, Yoru, which is just such a crazy and powerful looking sword, and he survived this long with any help from any crewmates. In my mind, Yoru alone is as powerful as one of the strongest devil fruits in One Piece, and considering how powerful Enma was and how much Zoro went to conquer it, could you imagine what it took for Mihawk to conquer that beast? And that's one reason why I believe that Mihawk has conquered his Haki for sure. I mean, just look at this thing. But I do have to say, I do think Mihawk's title is a bit fraudulent, as I believe the true world's strongest swordsman is Shanks, but that's a discussion for another day. It's not confirmed that Mihawk has conquered his Haki, but it's pretty safe to say he does, with no devil fruit, and he's also a Shadow Yonko as the strongest member of Cross Guild. But there's also so much headcanon involved with Mihawk as someone who has little to no feats and not much screen time, but I will say I like to make myself believe that Mihawk has defeated at least one admiral in the past during his days as a marine hunter. Number 8, Dark King Silver's Rayleigh. Rayleigh, also known as the Dark King, is a legendary pirate and the right-hand man to Gold D. Roger. He was an absolute master in all forms of Haki. He even trained fully in all 3 forms. We can even see an old man Rayleigh's Haki leaking as he steps up to face Blackbeard. Rayleigh's the man who made Luffy what he is today in terms of understanding the fundamentals of Haki and fighting, and he's the person who inspired Luffy to chase after the Yonko and involve himself in fights against the top tier of Haki masters, so that Luffy himself could awaken his own techniques. And so it's safe to say that in his prime, Rayleigh had some battles of his own. The big thing holding back Rayleigh is that we know Roger would face full fleets of his own, allowing the rest of his crew to escape. But luckily for Rayleigh, we also know that he took part in the battles like God Valley, holding his own against pirates like Big Mom, Kaido, Whitebeard, Shiki, and even Roxy Zebek. Considering Roger was the OG pirate king, and Rayleigh was still considered a legend and respected by GARP and Blackbeard, I like to think of Rayleigh as similar to an OG Zoro in a way. Mihawk versus Rayleigh is extremely close, and I completely understand if you have Mihawk over him. We really just need to see a lot more from both. At number 7, I have Golden Lion Shiki. Golden Lion Shiki was a Yonko tier character. This man went to war against Roger, although ultimately losing, and he was even a member of the legendary Rocks Pirates at one point. His devil fruit is busted, giving him ability of levitation, giving him the power to float and fly around with ease. It's such a hack ability in the air, but his devil fruit also allows him to potentially hurl giant things like small islands at you, and also levitating weapons to his control. I like to think that Shiki has conquered his Haki as well, as it would take an insane person's willpower to rip his own legs off and fly out of Impel Down. He may not be on the level of Roger or Whitebeard, but he's close enough that it's still crazy impressive that he got this strong. At number 6, we have Big Mom, Charlotte Linlin. Charlotte Linlin, known as Big Mom, is not only the strongest pirate woman, but also the strongest female character in all of One Piece. She has absurd regenerative abilities, stealing and storing people's people's souls to keep her lifespan endlessly going, because she's so strong that there's almost no one who could defeat her in a one-on-one fight. She's the definition of a superhuman, eating giants alive and even her own mother when she was only a child. She has extreme raw physical power and surprisingly quick speed. And even in her old age, Big Mom moves around like a monster, looking like an Elden Ring boss battle. Big Mom's devil fruit, aside from defense, gives her the power to create actual godly powers like lightning and fire clouds, and even a hat sword like Napoleon. Her bag is just incredibly deep with attacks like maze or saber. And she also has powerful haki. You know, she's a conquer haki user who split the heavens by simply clashing with Kaido. And let's not forget how she came up as a core member of the Rock's pirates. Big Mom's biggest detractor from reaching the peaks of piracy has to be her mental issues. She's not only clearly insane, but almost a little too crazy. And she's also just kind of stupid in general. She clearly has mental issues like amnesia and forgetting things. She has multiple personalities and mental breakdowns, leading to her to rage and eating all her children alive. Big Mom is a mental mess of a woman, and if it wasn't for this, her potential would be a lot higher. Now, before we jump into the top 5 strongest pirates in One Piece, I need you to like the video if you enjoyed it so far. If we get 1500 likes on this video, I'll make a top 10 strongest marine video. These videos do take a lot of time and resources to make, so together with your help, we can push this video out to as many people as possible. And if you can't leave a donation in the comments with the super thanks, it really does help us a lot. If you want to leave your top 10 One Piece pirates in the comments, I'll definitely check that out. At number 5, we have red-haired Shanks. Red-haired Shanks is Roger's golden boy, a prodigy spawned out of the greatness of the Roger pirates, and they found him in a treasure chest at God Valley. Through his travels with Roger, he's picked up a few tricks of his own, like copying Divine Departure, a move that was so powerful that he one-shot a 3 billion berry pirate and sent him to his grave, giving him the moniker Eustace L. Kid. Shanks' haki is peak haki as it gets. He has ridiculous future sight, being able to see far into the future and also having the speed to react and take out Kid before the fight even began. So speed and anticipation, a terrifying combo. But then he's also mastered ornament haki, of course, and also Shanks has the strongest conqueror's haki in the current era of One Piece, taking after Gold D. Roger himself. The dude is an absolute savage. He does not play around when it comes to fighting, and he's earned a reputation around the world as someone you do not want to mess with. So I mentioned earlier how I believe Mihawk's title of World's Strongest Swordsman is a bit fraudulent, and let me explain. I think Mihawk at one point was stronger than Shanks and probably even defeated him, but I think over time he's already achieved the goal that he always wanted as the strongest swordsman. And so in these last 10-20 years, Mihawk was kind of just chilling in his castle, and Shanks diving deeper and deeper into the new world and his ambition to find the One Piece. I think Shanks has still had a lot of big battles in these last couple years. Over time, I believe that Shanks now is the true world's strongest swordsman, but Mihawk and Shanks just haven't had their chance to fight again. In combat, Shanks always has been a prodigy and learning from the best, so it's understandable that he's the top 5 strongest pirate in One Piece history, even without a devil fruit and with only one arm. Number 4, Kaido. Now I know what some of you Shanks fans are thinking. Who could possibly be stronger than Shanks? Well, the answer is Kaido. Kaido, when we're talking about purely combat, is as intense as it gets. The dude fought everyone in Wano and took Luffy resurrecting from the dead and turning into a god to defeat him. Physically, Kaido has surpassed superhuman standards, as he's a giant Oni, and he's grown up with the survival of the fittest mentality, a tough and brutal mindset. He was soloing armies and fighting in war since he was a child. He's just a literal beast built for combat. And then he also got a dragon fruit on top of that. I mean, come on, Kaido is just a beast, man. And it's like, okay, he was already a prodigy being Rock's crew member at such a young age, and now he has arguably the best devil fruit in the entire series. I love how Kaido's all about fighting. He lives for a great fight. I mean, him going in and out of his hybrid form to his dragon form is still one of the coolest things I ever seen. Shooting out dragon fire blasts out of his breath, he can create lightning essentially out of his ass, and he's essentially has all the elements on his side. Kaido fought Luffy and Yamato while levitating an entire island and moving it to a specific location all the way across the country. Do you realize how much energy and focus this takes? I mean, this is next level multitasking, keeping half his mind on Onigashima while also facing powerful enemies at the same time. Kaido's dragon fruit gives him intense durability, only multiplying the durability that he's already had without it. Then he also has great conqueror's haki, charging up Thunder Bog and wasn't even using observation haki while fighting Luffy. The dude is just a complete package, and when he turns it on, there's just almost no one who could fight like Kaido. I really don't know if we'll ever get another show like what Kaido did during Wano, except for maybe someone like Luffy, Shanks, or Blackbeard. Alright, so let me just say this real quick. These next 3 are completely interchangeable, and they're in a tier of their own. But this video wouldn't be fun without pissing off a few people. So let's jump into the top 3 strongest pirates ever. At number 3, we have Gold D. Roger. Gold D. Roger, the Pirate King, has truly earned this title. The most powerful Kankaraki user in One Piece history. He's compared to the likes of of Shanks and Luffy. And just that alone tells us really all we need to know here. Roger fought using a badass supreme grade blade, the Ace, making him not only the pirate king during his era, but also contending for the spot of the world's strongest swordsman of that time as well. The guy was fighting against Whitebeard in a fun fight, going at it with Conqueror's Haki explosions, erupting the entire island and splitting the heavens just on their first clash. He was known for fighting off full hordes and fleets of pirates and marines to allow his crewmates to escape, and he even fought against Styzmask, Whitebeard, GARP, all of the top tiers that you could think of, and he still did all this without a devil fruit. Roger is the reason that Kaido says that Haki is supreme. Roger is the reason that Shanks is the Haki man he is today. Roger is the greatest pirate ever. And so while I think you could argue that he's the strongest pirate of all time, I think there's actually two who are still a smidge stronger. At number 2 we have Whitebeard, or Edward Newgate. Whitebeard has earned the title of the world's strongest man. He was a master in Conqueror's Haki, a superhuman in stature and natural physical presence, a warrior so rare that he obtained the supreme grade blade Naginata, making him a powerful swordsman, and he twirls it around and stabs his opponents. And that's not even a sliver of his strength, because on top of all of that, he has complete mastery and control over his dangerous devil fruit, the Guda no Mi. Even in his old age, he faced off the entire Marines organization to save Ace, while 3 of his most powerful commanders were missing. You know, Roger never really earned the title or reputation as the world's strongest, but some would argue that the Pirate King is an even better title. But if we look at it, Whitebeard was clearly on the tier in the likes of Roger, GARP, and the most powerful characters in One Piece, because Whitebeard's just simply built different. And I've actually made an entire video on Prime Whitebeard and why I think he was actually such an elite level pirate, even stronger than Roger at his peak, which I'll leave in the description. But basically, I think that if Roger and Whitebeard fought 100 times, Whitebeard would win 51 times. It's so close, but you gotta pick someone, right? Maybe I'm biased, but I will never bet against a legendary Prime Beard. That is, unless he's facing up against his former captain, because at number 1 we have Styzmask. Styzmask had an unreal ambition, the goal to conquer the world, and considering Imu is the current king of the world, this means Styzmask was aiming to defeat Imu and take it for himself. Rox was so powerful, and I made an entire video on the Rox philosophy theory, which I really recommend you checking out, as I break down in detail why I believe that Rox and his crew would have to fight to the death constantly, as Rox intentionally implemented a culture of warriors and survival of the fittest mentality, which would eventually strengthen his entire crew, because we know this is exactly how Haki blooms. And so being in a constant state of fighting would allow his crew to blossom into one of the most powerful crews of all time, and you would need someone insanely powerful to command them with the utmost respect. I mean, think about how much of a Giga Chad you have to be commanding Whitebeard as your right hand man and a bunch of psycho Conquer Haki users like Big Mom and Kaido running around. The era of Rox was completely ruthless and terrifying, and he was Goldie Roger's greatest enemy, even above Whitebeard. And I also believe that Styzmask was a pirate king before Roger. We can even see Rox pulling up in the front of his crew to fight GARP and Roger. The silhouette shows Rox like Luffy at the front of everything, excited to charge in a battle waving his sword around, while GARP is just pissed. I know it's just a silhouette, but this looks like a man ready for war. And I'm pretty sure Rox had Conqueror's Haki and was extremely proficient in all forms. So could you imagine if this man had a devil fruit like Blackbeard's Yami no Mi on top of all of that? So yeah, when it comes to pirates, Rox is top 1. And there's a reason that Oda is saving this man for last. If you enjoyed this video or anything I said, leave a like. I had so much fun making this. But another video that I loved making was this Bonney video where I explained why I believe that she has the power to teleport in and out of the future.